I'm pleased that Ina McBride is willing to share some experiences with her father for our message for all ages. So, Ina?
Good morning. This morning's message for all ages is a story about my daddy, Leo Marion McBride. Fathers are all different, and they all have different jobs. Some are doctors or nurses, lawyers, construction workers. Some are salesmen or computer specialists. Some are farmers, inventors, or veterinarians. Fathers have many different jobs. This is a story about my daddy, Leo Marion McBride, who had lots of different jobs. Daddy grew up on a ranch in South Dakota. He worked hard and he learned to love the land and all the animals. He learned to play the guitar and he used to sing to the cattle. He was the singing cowboy. He even had a job riding saddle broncs on the rodeo circuit. This is really him. Once he had a job catching rattlesnakes and sold them to a bootmaker for making snakeskin boots. Daddy went to college and wanted to be a doctor, but when World War II broke out, he joined the Army, where he was a drill instructor, teaching other young men to be soldiers. After the Army, he had other jobs too. He had a watch repair shop back when watches had springs and gears and hands. He managed a hardware store, and downtown stores had a sidewalk sale, they called it Crazy Days, every year, where everyone dressed up just for fun. Yeah, that's my dad in drag, honestly. Go figure, right? My daddy, who was known as Mac to his friends and customers, dressed up as a lady and called himself Maxine. He had fun tricking his friends and customers. His own father didn't even recognize him. He was a funny guy. He got sick when I was just a little girl and couldn't work anymore. That's when we came to Texas and he brought us to live in the country. Of all his jobs, Daddy told me that his most important job was being a daddy to me and my sister. He made sure that we learned to love and care for animals, cows, chickens, dogs, cats. He bought orphan calves and invented a kind of assembly line process for feeding several at a time. He hung buckets of milk with nipples on them along a fence. That first year, we raised about 100 baby calves. My favorite things that he taught us was when we were outside. He pointed out things that I would never have noticed. We would get down on our tummies in the pasture and look at all the tiny things under the grass. Bugs, worms, mushrooms, and teeny-weeny plants with the tiniest flowers you'd ever seen. It was like a whole different world under there. He would make sure that I noticed all the life in our creek. The beautiful water-tumbled pebbles that sparkled in the sun. Red and golden leaves floating down the creek like colorful little boats. Minnows nibbling at our toes if we were still enough. Delicate little mosses and tiny flowers growing at the edge of the water and on the nearby rocks or tree roots. He showed me how the mosses and mushrooms growing on the tree trunks were all different shapes and textures and colors. We enjoyed watching the ants travel up and down the trees, winding their way through the crevices in the bark. Sometimes we would lie on our backs in the pasture and watch the clouds, pointing out what this one or that one looked like. Maybe a dog, a face, perhaps a dinosaur. He always told me how important it was to pay attention and appreciate the little things, not just in nature, but also the little things in each other. because it's these little things underneath that help us understand what a miracle our world really is. So, take time and look at the little things. Look at the undersides of leaves. Peer into the center of that flower at all the little hairs or seeds. Turn over that rock and see what's under it. Feel the velvety, cool smoothness of moss in the shade. Take time to smell the grass and put your arms around a tree and feel its strength and breathe in its scent. Take time to really listen to each other and discover the little things that make each of us unique and precious. Delight in the little things. Thank you, Daddy.
Thanks, Ina.